CJ Stroud's four biggest challenges moving forward. Bobby Slowik provides elite insight and exclusive conversation with Brevin Jordan and a lot more as the Texans begin the final stretch of the season. Let's go live inside the locker room on one of the best football weekends of the year.
Yeah. Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the.
Welcome to the locker room, number one source for Texans daily digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 Central on Sports Radio 610. It's a huge football weekend. I was going to do a video last night, but the Pac-12 championship, too much going on. And I'm just gonna go live. I'm gonna go Bill O'Reilly. We're gonna go live here and talk about CJ Stroud, hear from Bobby Slowik, hear from Brevin Jordan, and then we're all gonna sit back, watch football, and wait for that big Texans game and that big final stretch to begin. I want to jump right into it. I think there's four concerns about the Texans offense for the final 6 games of the season, and they've surpassed most of our expectations. CJ Stroud, you feel like you have an elite quarterback. You don't feel as bad about the receivers. You feel like you have a really good offensive coordinator, perhaps a guy who will one day be a head coach in Bobby Slowik. But when it comes to the success of this season and maximizing the success of this season, and perhaps not just getting into the playoffs and making noise, there is one thing, or there are 4 things that I think really need to be acknowledged. And Bobby Slowik, one of the best offensive minds in the league in a short time, maybe. But definitely one of the most insightful. He had his media availability. I thought he said some interesting things. Also, a potential new weapon for CJ Stroud. I got to speak with him. You'll hear from him as well. But concern number 1 for me is hero ball versus playing on script. And we'll hear Slowik talk about this. CJ Stroud is capable of playing hero ball. That means you're not necessarily doing what the play is designed to do. You're extending the play, looking up and making plays. He's capable of it, but there does need to be a balance. Now, sometimes that balance, it's not just up to the quarterback. It's not as simple as he needs to get rid of the ball earlier. We hear that a lot whenever this stuff's going on. Sometimes he does. But other times, the receivers aren't getting open, the offensive linemen aren't blocking, or he's just capable of making a big play. And that's the balance that Texans fans, and this is a Texans digital stream. If you're coming through, shout out to all the returning people. Shout out to Texans fans. Shout out to people coming here to just get the pulse of what's going on with the Texans. You've come to the right place. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 Central, Sports Radio 610, top radio show, and this is the digital version. We do this daily. But hero ball versus playing on script, that's not something that you want to do all the time. It's something that you want to have a quarterback capable of doing. But it seems like, and Bobby Slowik is going to touch on this, against Indianapolis, I think that had a lot to do with the offensive line being depleted. CJ had to do it on top of the actual situation in the game script. And against the Jacksonville Jaguars the second time around, CJ had to do that. So that's concern number 1. You want to try to limit that. There's going to be times where it's going to happen, especially when you have a good quarterback. But you want to limit that. Concern number 2 is the run game. Look, there's a lot invested in this offensive line. I know they've had a lot of injuries, but with what you've had invested in this offensive line, specifically with Shaq Mason and Laramie Tunsil, you got to be able to run the ball. You saw it against the Bengals. You saw it against the Cardinals. You saw Devin Singletary have 150 yards, and you saw him have 100 after that. You got to be able to run the rock a little bit. Are they going to become a run team? No, they're a pass team. That's what the entire Denver team was saying about them. But you're going to have to be able to run the ball. Furthermore, why is Dameon Pierce getting 1 less carry than Devin Singletary? That's something that Bobby Slowik will speak to as well. But regardless, you're going to have to run the ball somewhat effectively. Concern 3, the offensive line. There's been a lot of injuries, but the reality of the situation is Laramie Tunsil, yes, it's just 1 game, But to get dominated the way he did by Josh Allen is concerning. Could it be a health thing? Maybe so. But getting dominated like that is not something you expect from a guy that is and he'll tell you when he speaks, doesn't really speak anymore. When he is the two-time highest paid offensive lineman, you just kind of expect him to hold his own a little bit better than he did the other day, if not a lot better than that. And also on the offensive line, the other guys got a block as well, not just Laramie Tunsil. Concern for the short yardage decisions. Now, Bobby Slowik has been willing to take the blame for some decisions. Other decisions he's defended. And that's why I like Bobby Slowik, because it's not just combative B.O.B. blowhard crap where it's, hey, I know football and y'all don't. No, he'll go in depth specifically. He'll call the play against Cincinnati, the 3rd and 3, the worst call that he's ever made. He'll talk about other situations where he's going to trust CJ Stroud. There's a nice balance of that. But the short yardage decisions they're going to be important, regardless of whether you think they are or are not the right calls or not. It's very, very important. It's not just result based. It's not that simple. It's not just, hey, the result, all of that. Let's hear from the man though. Let's hear from Bobby Slowik. He's always really good. And then we'll get on the on championship Saturday very, very quickly. Let's hear from Bobby Slowik, starting off talking about the offensive player of the week in the AFC, CJ Stroud. Here is Bobby Slowik on that.
I'd say I was very little, I had very little to do with it. I just think he's a phenomenal kid who's made.
All right. You had little to do with it. This is a lie, Bobby. I like self-deprecation, but come on, you had little to do with it. Come on, brother. You had a lot to do with it.
Stuff goes about his business the right way. Came into the NFL as a rookie, I would say, came in like a professional. And obviously he has the talent to be able to do special things. And just the combination of all of it together, I think, we can all go out and we can see. I'm as much a part of watching it as you guys are. I think it's really awesome to be there, be in the moment, be able to talk to him when he pulls off some of these 2-minute drives, and just kind of see how composed he is through it all, and how he rallies his teammates and how much he cares for his teammates. So much of what I just think is amazing about CJ has very little to do with how he throws a football. And I know he's special in that regard, but he's special in a lot of other regards also. And I think that just continues to show as we go through the year. It's a credit to him and all the stuff he's overcome.
I've had as much to do with it as y'all did. Come on, bro. Don't take it too far, Bobby. Come on. Here's more from Bobby Slowik talking about CJ Stroud, AFC Offensive Player of the Week. I think in this question, I think it's Sarge. He says that CJ's not going to let it go.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Our goal as individuals, as an offense, and as a team is we know where we want to get to. We know where the Houston Texans want to go. And to do that, we have to take it one game at a time. And that very much is a theme of our team right now is, there's going to be ups and downs through an NFL season. And whether you're on a high streak or a low streak, we got to make sure we're approaching the next week with all we got. We're emptying the tank every week, and we give our best effort with our best foot forward every game.
Probably just 11 carries for the running backs in the last game.
Yeah, I mean, I think a little
about
it's a combination of a lot
running
of things,
back
right? Like I've
share.
talked about this before. Some of it's influenced by the defensive structure. Some of it's influenced by, matchups we like or how our quarterback's playing. Some of it's influenced by how the run game is going. So I think there's a mixture there, in particular when we got down. And the way our quarterback was playing, particularly off schedule, there was a lot of trust in there to let him go out and try to string drives together and move us down the field. Ideally, we want to be able to run the ball more, but along with that, you got to be good on third down to stay on the field. If you want to be a good run team.
On this, it feels like he's talking about the running backs, and we'll get more in depth in this, the running backs and the offensive line not doing as well as they should. And he's also, I'll let you guys decide, but it seems like he's talking about the offensive line running backs need to do a better job.
You got to be able to move the sticks when we run it, but then also we got to, when on 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, we got to make sure we're staying on the field. And I would say by and large, outside of our 2-minute drives, I didn't think we were good enough on third down, and that made it really hard to stay consistent.
Bobby,
Here's the off-schedule stuff on CJ Stroud. This is a big one. Off-schedule versus on-schedule.
I would say the off-schedule part, like a lot goes into that. I would probably say really since week 2, I feel like it's the last time that it's really come up to this degree, whereas there was this much playing outside of the structure of the offense. And just like week 2, and it really will be a ringing theme for most of the questions in this game, it was multiple positions, multiple reasons, multiple things, but the end of the story is like we didn't play clean football, and that was really our emphasis going into the week. Let's make sure at the very least we're on our assignments, we're on our fundamentals, and we're on our technique. And as an offense as a whole, we were a little disappointed in that regard. We knew we could have played way cleaner, we could have played way better. That really wasn't the Houston Texans offense brand of football that we put out there. And when that's the case, your quarterback's going to have to make a lot happen just outside the offense, making plays on his own with receivers, which is not a world you want to live in.
So he's kind of saying there's a balance between, going within the structure and CJ having to do it, which makes sense.
That's a double-edged sword.
This is Brandon Scott asking about the run game helping CJ Stroud. Can that prevent hero ball, et cetera?
No, I think that's 1,000%. I mean, I think I've voiced many times, how important the run game is. Like when you can stay on schedule in the run game, how much that opens up play pass and stuff that it's going to be, you're going to have more guys in protection. It's going to be sounder in protection. You can push the ball down the field a little more in a lot of those situations. Like when those go hand in hand, that's really, to me, that's the hardest to defend. Anytime you can keep the defense off balance and they're not sure what you're going to play or what you're going to run, that's always going to be the hardest for them. But there's a lot that goes into that, like there were times our protection wasn't as good as we want it to be, and then there were other times the protection was pretty clean and it showed up like it was an issue, but there were other issues on the play that made it look that way, So I think there's
So there were times where the protection wasn't clean and he had to go out, and there were times where it was clean and there were other issues. So maybe CJ bailing too quick. Got to balance this stuff though when you have a talent like CJ. But I like what Bobby says.
A lot of factors that go into that, including we were on a good streak there running the ball for I'd say about 3 weeks, and we took a little bit of a step back.
Yeah, you took a step back because you took away carries from Devin Singletary
last week. We weren't moving and displacing people like we wanted. We weren't necessarily hitting the holes like we wanted on some of the stuff. We very much have reattached to ourselves this week to try to make sure, we play Texan football again.
Coach, Tank Dell and Noah Brown, how did they look in practice today, and what's the question of Broncos?
Yeah, like everybody that's kind of working through some stuff when you get to the middle of the season, they're grinding. They're out there. They're putting their best foot forward, doing everything they can to make sure that they're, 1,000% ready to go on Sunday, and we can use them in that way.
With Denver and some of the things that they do defensively, what is it about the Broncos that kind of, beyond the talent of the secondary, that kind of makes them stand out?
Yeah, I'd say, right now they're playing kind of the opposite of everything I've just talked about. They're playing really clean football. I've gone against Vance Joseph many times now, just being from the NFC West there when he was at Arizona, and he presents some tough schematic issues. He's always done a great job coaching coverage. He's always done a great job as far as a pressure package. And then they're really, especially these last 5 games, like they've been extremely sound in what they're doing in their assignments. There's not many freebies they give out, and when they get the opportunity, they're making plays on the ball. They're making a lot of plays on the ball. I feel like they got far less. Like their catch percentage right now is very high. We got to make sure that we're aggressive when the ball's in the air. We got to be throwing it to the right spot, and then in the run game, we got to make sure we're protecting it because they're thriving on turnovers and getting off the field on 3rd down right now.
Coach, team that has that sort of turnover streak that they're on, and how will does that change availability?
This is good stuff. Do the plays that you run, are they limited when a team forces so many turnovers? Most OCs don't answer this question.
Ball security guys, it's not turnovers. Does their ability kind of alter your availability of some of your plays?
I would absolutely say so. I think statistically now everyone in the world knows like the number one way you're going to win a game is you win the turnover battle. It's a really big deal, and everyone in the NFL's bought in and believed that, and it's proven to be true ever since it became a really big statistic. And I think it wouldn't be right if I in some way, shape, or form was not cognizant of that and didn't alter things through the course of the plan. That's not to say like you always got to have change-ups. You got to be able to disperse the ball in different parts of the field, horizontally and vertically. That's how you really threaten defenses. But you're definitely more aware of where you want to do that and when you want to do that and how you want to do that. And then you also, as you mentioned, you also hit the small little finer details, which we kind of hit all year, but of how you protect the ball. Where do we miss? What are we doing when we have the ball in traffic? Just kind of all that together, I think, really is a big emphasis for us this week.
Bobby Slowik in the locker room. Big football weekend. The 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 decisions. A lot of you want to hear about it. Here's what Bobby Slowik has to say about throwing twice with CJ Stroud on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 last week.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, kind of earlier when I was answering the run question, like I'm not – if I had the same situation, I'd call the same plays, and I have no fear of putting the ball in our quarterback's hands right now.
Okay, now this is significant because he said against Cincinnati on the 3rd and 3, he said that he would have changed that and probably run it and not put CJ in the situation. On these 3rd and 1s and 4th and 1s, after looking at the tape and everything, he's saying that he would have done the same thing. So this makes me think that they were not trying to take a shot deep downfield. That was not the initial goal. And you'll hear Bobby Slowik give some more transparency here on a wonderful football weekend here inside the locker room.
And I think he's earned that trust from me. He's earned that trust from the rest of the offense. Now, similar to what I've already said, also we didn't go execute. We just didn't execute the plays. The balls weren't going where we really had them schemed to go, and it wasn't CJ. It was just the offense. We got to be clean.
They weren't going where we had them schemed to go. So there you go. There's always a little bit of
we got to be on our assignments. We got to be doing what we're supposed to be doing, so that we can go and we can play football and we can function.
CJ talked about controlled aggression yesterday. Can you kind of take us through how you've kind of coached him through that, how you've helped him, and what you've seen?
Yeah, I think one thing that's really important for a quarterback, and we kind of hit this when we had talked about a couple of weeks ago, the interceptions. Like one of the hardest things to fight through is when you start to get gun shy. It becomes really hard to overcome. There's enough chaos in football. There's enough chaos in the pocket. So being able to have an aggressive mindset just enables you to let things rip. And for us, it's particularly important. I'm not talking like throwing the ball 50 yards down the field. That's important on like how aggressive you throw something before someone comes out of a break. Like I see a hole, I see space, I'm going to throw the ball to that space, and I'm going to trust that our receivers are going to show up there and the timing and the rhythm that we always talk about to get there. But my aggression can't let me think, it's a challenge. Like, there's a 2-foot window. Let me see if I can fit it in that 2-foot window. There's a balance. There's.
He's talking about being stubborn. This is some good stuff, man. This is some good stuff.
It's controlled aggression is the verbiage we use. I think it's aptly worded. You got to be able, when the opportunity's there, got to be able to let it rip, but understand at the same time it's not a challenge that I don't know if you can get this done.
We'll close with you.
This is DJ. He's been watching the tape and talking about how Surtain will sometimes follow guys around, and that will kind of dictate what happens behind him. The challenges as an offensive coordinator when you have such a good corner, do you want to see where he is, and how do you kind of balance that out? That's the question from the great DJ Bieneme of
Yeah, it's tough. It's something when I was on defense, we always dabbled in, and now that I'm on offense, you really can find how powerful it is to be able to hide mans, hide zones, hide different versions of zones. Because really, like the ideal situation for an offensive play caller is how do I get into the perfect play, right? And when you have an indicator for a coverage, we'll eventually find a way to make sure we're getting to a perfect play. Like we love this play call versus coverage or this look. And once you start disguising that, whether it's by shells or by people, that gets hard fast. Like usually that's going to go out the window. And then you have to start finding answers. All right, well, what's the top 3 things they do? Let's make sure we have answers for these top 3 things. And beyond that, we got to run good routes, or we got to have good run blocking, or our quarterback has to handle it, or maybe this tight end has to handle it. Like you got to just build upon build within a play to make sure that, like I kind of said before, that in the worst case scenario, you're still okay and the play's still protected. And it definitely adds to work, and I would say it adds to expectations pre-snap, because that's one thing about when you get an indicator and you can get a perfect play, you know what you're going to get. Everything, what they do with Surtain and what they do with their shells, like you really don't always know what's happening until post-snap in the run and the pass game. So there's going to be a lot of stuff we got to be on our eyes after the ball snap within really the first 2 seconds to figure out what's going on.
All right, here we go. We're going to get the 4th and 12 versus the decision to kick the 58-yard field goal. What goes through the mind of an offensive coordinator there? Are you pleading your case, or what? Are you just whatever? Like, what's the deal there? And then Bobby's going to give a decent answer on here, but he's also going to tell a big-ass lie. Big-ass lie.
What's the best way to go? And you only have but so much time to communicate what you want to do. So I guess what is your mindset in that moment? Is it like, hey, let's be aggressive and let's keep the offense on the
Listen to the great B. Scott.
Yeah, I think what I would say a lot of people can't always fully grasp, is we're all, like the whole Texan team is at practice, watching practice, including our 3rd down period, including our field goal period, So like we're well aware of how far our kicker kicks it. We're well aware of how good we are on 3rd down and what our concepts are. And like in that particular situation, I'm as confident as you would expect an offensive guy to be if we decide we want to, try to push it on 4th and 11. Yeah, I got a play call for that.
They had 12 plays over 12 yards and an 11-yard scramble up to that point.
Is it going to work? It's like every other 4th and 11, probably a pretty low percentage.
I feel better about it than Matt Amendola.
But we also have full confidence in our kicker.
Come on, man. You don't have full confidence in Matt Amendola. If this Texans staff has full confidence in Matt, I can assure you Bobby Slowik wasn't over there getting ready for overtime as Matt Amendola was kicking that 58-yard field goal when he's never made a 50. Come on, brother.
And we've seen him in practice. We've seen how far he kicks it. We've seen how well he kicks it, So really in that, it's what D'Amico decides and what we decide to do, we're all on board with and have full confidence in.
Nah. All right, thank you, Bobby. You're on board with, but nah, don't kick a 58-yard field goal. That kind of reminds me of like when a boxer fights an uphill battle and he ends up getting his ass knocked out in like the 9th round and you say good effort, but he never had a chance to win. That was that Matt Amendola miss. CJ Stroud, again, Texans. I think last month when he was AFC Offensive Player of the Month, he had 27 plays over 20 yards. The next most for a team in the NFL, I think, was 14. Everett put that out from Texans PR. So, you don't have full confidence in that kicker. This is a smart coaching staff. You damn sure don't have full confidence in that kicker. It'll be interesting to see what happens if that decision comes up. Hopefully, this is the last week of Amendola and we get a look at Fairbairn. Appreciate everyone for coming through. I want to leave you with this. Brevin Jordan, he's going to get the start this Sunday. He joined in the loop on Sports Radio 610 for an exclusive interview. I would love for y'all to go to the Odyssey app and check it out. He was badass. I'm going to give you a couple snippets of Brevin Jordan. And the interesting thing about Brevin Jordan for me is I didn't think he was going to make the team. I made that clear on the air, and I told him as much, and he agreed. I thought because he got hurt and because he'd had trouble staying in the lineup and he'd been a healthy scratch with Akins last year and Quitriano, I didn't think he was going to make the squad. Now, when I kind of saw the light, and if you follow me here, you guys can remember when we were at training camp, CJ Stroud, when he had his first media availability, CJ Stroud immediately mentioned Brevin Jordan as one of the first names. And Brevin Jordan has a touchdown this year. I asked Brevin about that. This is what he had to say, and this is going to be something that's going to have you a little bit excited or at least intrigued.
My aha moment, and we were at camp every day, was we're wondering if Brevin Jordan's going to make the team. We're wondering if Brevin Jordan's going to make the team, and all the while we're saying, why isn't CJ Stroud having press conferences? Why isn't he having press conferences? And he finally has his press conference, and you're one of the first names he mentions. And when I heard that, I was like, damn, how were you and CJ able to connect so early? And he's continued to say really good things about you.
That's my dog, man. He's a West Coast cat. So you know what I'm saying? It's my dog, man. CJ, me and CJ got a very good bond. When he got drafted, the day he got drafted, I'm not even kidding y'all, maybe like 20 minutes after he got drafted, he DM'd me on Instagram and it was like, can't wait to work with you, bro. Like off the rip, like 20 minutes after he got drafted, maybe. So that was a huge impression on me, man. I knew he was serious when he did that. I knew he was going to make some changes here in Houston, and the dude is unbelievable. His character's unbelievable, and his performance is even better.
If you're a gambling guy, I've seen Brevin Jordan. I got it at 8-1 to score a touchdown. I think it's gone down to 4. But with Dalton Schultz officially being ruled out, but to score the first touchdown, he was like 40-1. They like each other. And the other thing I like about Brevin Jordan is it's one thing for like a blowhard radio guy, streamer like me to sit here and say, this is the biggest game of Brevin Jordan's career. You know, we do that stuff. We do it all the time. Sometimes it's true. I threw that out there to Brevin Jordan, and I mean, he interrupted me and made it very clear. You are damn right.
Dalton Schultz, we saw him on the injury report. We saw you make a big play the other day. And a radio guy like me is calling this the biggest game of Brevin Jordan's career. Am I being dramatic?
Damn straight. Nah, you're damn straight right, man. It's a huge opportunity for me. It's a huge opportunity for me. I'm excited for it.
It's been an interesting season for you, but you're not shying away. This is the biggest game of your careire.
No, man, this is a huge game. This is no question the biggest game of my career, man. This is the first time in my 3 years, man. I'm like, I like really, get to be out there and be active, and so I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I'm just gonna go out there and just, do what I do in the run game and in the pass game.
All right, we'll see what that is. Quite frankly, we don't know what he does, but we will see. And we know CJ likes him, and we know he's going to damn sure get an opportunity. And we know Bobby Slowik is going to be the one that's going to have to figure it out. 4 biggest issues for the Texans on offense, trying to avoid the CJ Stroud hero ball, the offensive line, the running backs, the decision-making. It is a awesome football weekend. Take in this college football championship Saturday. It's going to be awesome. And then tomorrow, if you're at NRG, hit me up. I'll be out there per usual. We'll do the post-game show here. And always remember, when it comes to this Texans stuff, we're all in it together. Have an awesome, and I mean awesome effing football weekend. It's one of the best of the year. Enjoy.
You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not 2. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube.